But what we do, I'm getting that old man sort of like that hair thing going on there.
What are you going to get like this, Joe?
Right, we're in Liverpool. We're in Crosby, just sort of outside of a rough area, quite a notorious area called Bootle. And with Billy, we're just going to let the viewing figures go up. Billy's going to go on about his life within the care system, which Big Bad Alan Merritt. How are you? Al? Bill's going to be talking about his time in a couple of care homes. One of them is Bryn Allen, and Bryn Allen has sort of made notoriety in the British press, and is mentioned a lot in the ICSA, the Independent Investigation into Child Sexual Abuse, for the monumental cover-ups, but also for the amount of politicians and people of privilege and prominence that were going in there and sexually abusing the children in that home. Look, we're wearing Alan Merritt's t-shirts. I've got a badge. He's got the John Wedger badge as well. We've got the t-shirts. They'll be going on sale, and we can get them done in different languages and whatnot. Big Bad Alan Merritt has got them done, and hopefully we'll sort out a little site where we can get selling the merchandise. It's on its way. The mugs are on their way, and everything else. So we'll just let the viewing figures go up another couple to 200, and then I'll let Billy sort of give his testimony of what went on, and it's like most, it's heartbreaking, but it needs to be told. And this is what these are all about. It's all about getting the word out there, education. This is not for entertainment. This is not like a lot of the other podcasters where they will go and interview ex-criminals and everything else and have some sort of titillation value to it. But there's none of that here. This is the Witness Project. This is for victims and survivors of abuse, a lot of this systemic institutional abuse, and for them to have to say. Most of the people that we speak to now have gone to the police, and the police have absolutely done nothing with the information. So, right, we're just a couple of short now, Billy. We'll just give it another minute just to let the figures go up. We're riding very high on our viewing figures at the moment. We're getting, a lot of acknowledgement now. We just want one more to come on board. 200. There we go. We're there. Johanna, thank you. You're the 200th, and Johanna, hopefully we'll be seeing you in the next couple of weeks in Cornwall for your testimony. So, Bill, man, thank you so much, bruv.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to Liverpool. Yeah. So, I must say that I'm just going to flip you around so you can see. Everyone can see. The view. Out there we've got Birkenhead over there. We've got North Wales there, and we've got these statues by who's the guy? What's the guy's name?
Anthony Gormley.
Anthony Gormley, and they're like naked statues, and they're staged at different positions throughout the tidal range here. And but one thing gets me: they're all naked, aren't they?
Weird.
They're very strange. Very. It's quite occultic, isn't it? But Bill, this is a place that you come in your quiet moments to try and get a little bit of peace with inside yourself, because you had quite a traumatic upbringing. If we could sort of go back and just sort of let people know your life from the start. So, where did life start for you?
Life started for me in a place called Anfield, and right. I lived in a street called Faraday Street, and there was myself. I've got a younger brother, and I've got 2 younger sisters. I'm the oldest, and growing up, my mum was an alcoholic. We were locked in a room with a big pan with like cereal and milk. That was it. All the doors were locked.
So what age was this?
I'd say I was about 7ish.
But you went into care quite early on, didn't you?
Yeah, I was taken off your when I was 13 weeks old.
So at 13 weeks old, social services intervened.
Because my mum was an alcoholic.
Your mum's drinking was too much.
It's just a bad disease, which it's hard. It's hard seeing you when you love someone. There's nothing you can do about it. Being separated from your family and your siblings when you're younger, it's heartbreaking for anyone.
And the part of Liverpool you was in was quite a working class, rough area. Anyway.
Yeah, I was raised in Anfield. I've never ever been to a normal school. I don't know what a normal school is. I don't know what one looks like. I've never worn a uniform.
Is that because of behavioural issues or?
You know, just the way the kids' home was. You wore your own clothes.
Right.
Never ever wore a uniform.
So home life to you was really a children's home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at some point you ended up going through the care system and everything else, but you ended up in quite an abusive care home.
Yeah, I think the care home's called Clarence House, which is up in a place called Formby.
Right, Clarence House in Formby, and Formby is just outside Liverpool.
Yes.
It's just really to the right of where we are now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Further up the coast.
Yeah. 5-6 miles up the coast.
Towards Southport.
Yeah, not far from Southport.
Yeah. And what was life like? Can we explain what life was like in Clarence House?
Another thing with the kids' homes, it's a prison for children. That's how I look at it.
A children's prison.
It was a prison for kids.
Yep.
We weren't allowed to go nowhere. We were told what to do. I've never had a granddad in my life. I've never had a father. I've never had uncles. Never had aunties. I've met my auntie once. She's from here. I don't know none of my family apart from my siblings.
And what about your carers in the homes? What were they like?
Very angry.
Right.
Always angry. I've always been scared. Not scared of men. Just I always thought they were going to do something to me.
Right.
Even now, I don't like people touching me from behind.
Yeah.
Little
No,
things
that I know.
like that. Little things make me jump. Certain sounds.
Yeah. You got hypervigilance.
Yeah.
You know, which comes from that lifestyle, you know.
I've never done exams. Didn't do exams.
Right.
I'll go on about that a little bit later on in the podcast.
But this is something else, Billy, that we see. You know, a lot of the people that have gone through the same system as you, they're pretty much uneducated. I don't know if you saw the one with Darren, the lad that was in Bristol, and he said, we never got an education because we were too frightened to go to sleep. So we were up all night fearful that we would be abused at night, and during the day we'd fall asleep, and then we'd be beaten for falling asleep. So
we put on landings, we stand on landings like 1 o'clock in the morning, standing in a pair of shorts, they drag us out of bed, get on the landing, they just terrorise us.
How old was you?
I'd say I was about 9, 10.
9 and 10. What was the reason for them taking you out of bed at 1 in the morning?
Because they heard noise in the bedroom. Not like what kids do.
Yeah.
Mum and dad time, whatever, and the kid, that's what kids do. Kids.
Yeah.
But you flew on landings. I had to stand on the landing. You know what, John? I've never felt love in my life.
No.
Never felt love. I don't know what it feels like.
No. There's something you were saying. There was no one hugging you at night.
No
one tucking you in at night.
No, that's all I ever wanted when I was a kid. I've got no kids myself.
And the reason for you not having children yourself?
Because I've been in care all my life. I'm an ex-criminal. I've been there for violence.
Right.
I've been there for shoplifting. I'm an ex-heroin addict, ex-crack addict, ex-alcoholic. Now I'm just, I don't drink, I don't take heroin, I don't take crack. And the only thing that keeps me sane, John, is a joint.
Joint, right.
Because if I don't have a joint, the doctor all he wants to do, you go to the doctor, you got a sore stomach,
Yeah.
there's medication for mental health.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I've got a splinter in my finger, there's metazapine.
Yeah.
What for? I've come in because I've got a sore stomach.
So for you, a joint will just put the world at ease for you, settle you down, and you're no grief to no one.
No, I was no problem. I was just a scared young kid
Yeah.
who just wanted his mum and his dad.
Yeah.
But his mum and dad never wanted him.
And
all I've got my brothers and my sisters, and I love my little brothers to death. Without them I wouldn't be here. Without my nephews I wouldn't be here. There's plenty of time.
But when you look back on your life, the years inside, of the drug addiction, you know, the alcoholism, the violence and all that, what would you stem that down to? What was the common denominator?
Because of what happened to me, which I'll go into shortly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And when you look at when people are coming up with social solutions, when they're coming up at we've got to be tough on crime and we've got to clamp down, we've got to have zero tolerance. One of the things was the IPP, this indeterminate prison public protection thing they brought in. You know, really, they're missing a trick, aren't they? They're approaching this the wrong way.
Of course they are. They need to sit down. They need to listen to the victims.
Yeah.
And they need to take it serious and stop blaming us for being addicts, ex-addicts, alcoholics, being to jail. You're just not believed.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem. And you know, they would have been advised by so many professionals. Yet why do they then listen to these other people that are paid a real phenomenal, monumental living wage to implement their doctrine, which doesn't work?
Because what I think it is, I think there's someone high above who's saying, you go near that case, watch what happens.
Yeah.
As an officer said to me 2 years ago in Marsh Lane Police Station, he said, I want to tell you now. What did he say? It had a letter D on it. There was a letter D on my file, which means do not touch, don't open, do not open.
And what was that referring to? So they placed in effect a D notice.
A D? I don't know what a D notice is,
Yeah.
but that's what he said to me. There's a D on it. I said, I don't know what that means. He said,
but it's what's called a defence notice. It's a military intelligence notice. Now, one of the places you end up in was Bryn Allen.
Yeah, Bryn Allen in North Wales, just outside Wrexham.
And Bryn Allen crops up time and time again. But prior to Bryn Allen, you was at this Clarence House.
I was at Clarence House.
Can we talk about Clarence House and what went on in Clarence House?
Of course we can.
Yeah.
I've been in children's homes, and you've got the older ones who like to smoke weed. That's what we do, we're all smoking weed.
Yeah.
Other people are sniffing gas, sniffing Tipex. I was one of them people.
Oh yeah, Tipex thinners, wasn't it?
So,
Yeah.
these three older lads who thought they ran the kids' homes. Never seen them now, I'd run them down the street. I went up to get a joint off them, and he said, come upstairs into a bed.
How old was you?
I was 12.
12 years old, right.
It was on a unit called Taylor Unit. I went upstairs, he asked me to go in this room, and as soon as I went in, I was through on a bed. I had two lads either side of me, and they had the knees on the back of my legs here, they had hold of my arms, pulled my pants down, and he fucking raped me.
How old were they?
15, 16. They were from different parts of the city. There was a lad he was from Burnley.
Right.
And it wasn't just me, it happened to 4 others. 2 of them are now dead.
What was the cause of their death?
I'm not too sure, John.
Right. But it's something we hear a lot about premature deaths, you know.
I didn't say nothing for about 2 weeks. I was playing football outside.
Yeah.
One of the staff come up and started being nice to me. I was going, that's a bit weird, why is he being nice? And he said, you've got blood at the back of your pants. And I said, what do you mean? And I put my hands on, I've seen it, the blood was there, I went to hospital, I got stitches and all that, internal stitches.
So you was torn internally?
I was torn internally.
So their behaviour really sort of indicates that they've done this before.
Yeah, they done it to others. They pleaded guilty, but they never got charged with rape.
So you actually made an allegation against these lads?
Yeah, it went to court. I made one court appearance, and they all pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of aggravated assault by touching, because they were children themselves.
This is something that we hear quite a bit. It's not just the staff that abuse, you know, the other residents do abuse as well.
This Clarence House, if people do go on the internet and they do search for it, you'll see what went on, not just to me, 30, 40 others. There's an ex-football manager, which I'm sure everyone's well aware of.
Yeah.
There was staff having relations with each other. They were married. It was a fuck fest for the staff.
This football manager was visiting Clarence House?
No, this football manager worked there.
He worked there?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And the staff were also sexually abusive towards the kids?
Yeah. And it weren't like, we got a fucking hand, we got a proper slap, John. Do you know what I mean? We got digged. We were getting restrained, not like the police are restrained, you know. They were just the proper manhandling us.
Little kids?
Little kids.
Because they are little kids. I mean, I say to anyone, if you've got a 12-year-old kid, you look at a 12-year-old kid, they're prepubescent, most 12-year-olds, they're puny. You know, they're not really, you know, before they go to secondary school.
When I was 12, I looked about 9.
Yeah.
That's how small it was. These 3 lads that done that to me, they were all 5'10" plus.
Yeah, well, they would have been built like men, wouldn't
15,
they?
16.
Yeah.
They were big lads.
Yeah.
I still have nightmares now. I wake up crying, and in my head, so when I dream, I've had this dream for years. I've got a girlfriend, I've got 2 kids, and I've got a dog. And every time I have that dream, John, I wake up, I cry my eyes open, because I just want to go back into that dream.
Yeah. And stay there.
I never had my mum tell me that she loves me.
And when we look at kids that end up in the homes, a lot of them are there because there's problems at home and they actually need not just love and care, they need more love and care because they've come from such a bad background. They need extra help. And for the lack of compassion, the lack of empathy and knowing, and they listen, anyone who works in a small environment, right, you know that whatever happens, everyone will know about it, right? Now, if we listen to what Billy said earlier, that if he made a noise at night, they were dragged out and they were disciplined in the hallway, 9-year-old kids. So when you're getting, like Billy mentioned, a gang rape scenario, you're telling me the staff didn't hear that and didn't know about that? They knew exactly what was going on.
Of course they knew what was going on. I've been to outside of the, like in my own little inquiries. I go to been to social services, and all they do is they blame. Like I was in a kids only Lake District called Lowergate House in a place called Levens Village. I was in Widderslach Hall, not far from Windermere.
Right.
I was in Bryn Allen, and all they do is blame, we haven't got your care records, South Lakeland, and then it'll be like Shropshire, then it'll be North Wales. I've never had my care records. I've seen my sister's care records. Nothing happened to my sister, but you can't get a sentence because everything's blanked out on it. Why?
I think you've got viewers now from the Beach Home Survivors group, which are the ones that have commissioned these T-shirts, and I think Alan Merritt and the others, when they get their care records, they're either non-existent or they're so heavily redacted with a black marker pen, all that's on them is their name. The rest of it's all black.
That's it.
I mean, what is all that about?
That's exactly what my sisters were like. I was in care and I was never cared for. The kids who were in care now, I don't think they are cared for. It's always going to be the same. It was the same back in the 60s, the same in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and here we are 30 years later. Still the exact same things still going on. And
also, Bill, you think of the money that is spent for the property maintenance, the staff pensions, you know, and everyone else that's involved. That money could have been spent properly helping these kids, you know, giving them the real love and support that they truly needed. Dirty bastards, you know. we are hearing the same thing time and time again.
It's horrible. I've got nephews and nieces, and because of what happened to me and my brothers and sisters now, other people know what happened to me. It's like when my nieces and nephews come up to me and they want me to pick them up. In my head, I'm going, my sister's looking at me.
Yeah.
Or Joe Bloggs is looking at me because I'm talking to his kid.
Yeah.
Because they know what happened to me. I've got it in my head that they think I'm not.
Yeah. That you're still got that monster or whatever.
I was in Bolton prison years ago, and I was going out with a girl. I'm not going to mention her name.
No.
And because she had kids and I'd been away for violence, they sat her down. They had a meeting, and they turned around and said to her, "Do you know Billy was sexually abused as a child?" And she goes, "Yeah, I do." Do you know what they said? Do you know what the social services? There was an MP there, the police were there. Do you know what they turned around and said to her? They said something like 80% of people who've been abused will go on to abuse partners' kids or their own kids, which is a load of bullshit.
Billy, it's 10%. 10%, you know. 80, where did they even get that from?
That's what they said to her. They can't go on to abuse people.
I mean, that's like a nail in your coffin straight away, isn't it? You know? Is it? I mean, it seems that when you're the victim, everything in your life is going to be a kick in the balls. You know? At no point is there any way out.
It's like someone who sells cannabis, the police will lock them up. They lock them up for 2 years.
Yeah.
You go notch a little fucking kid.
Yeah. We've had this argument.
People ask for drugs.
Yeah.
People ask for drugs. They don't ask to be raped. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's a brilliant point. Yeah.
But they'll give that drug dealer a lot more time. Not that I'm backing drug dealers up.
Yeah.
The sentences that they're giving out in court is absolutely terrible.
And when we look at the majority of people that end up on heroin addiction have come from an abused background, yet they don't do anything to get the source of the problem.
I first started taking heroin when I was about 16.
Right.
That was because I was in Bryn Allen, as John said, in North Wales.
Why did you end up in Bryn Allen?
Because they fucking threw me out of that shithole up there, that Clarence House. Went to Bryn Allen. My mate was there from Clarence House all day. David Boswell.
Right.
He's sadly killed himself, but it was put down to a misadventure.
He was your best friend?
That was my best mate. I loved him to pieces. He was like my brother everywhere. From the age of 2.5 up to he was 16.
And he ended up in the care system with you, did he?
Yeah.
How was life different in Bryn Allen?
That was the army, the military. That was the military staff that were working there.
Right.
They used to employ lads who'd been kicked out the army, kicked out of the forces. There was ex-Navy there, ex-Army there, and it weren't good.
So they sort of just revisited that military discipline on the kids' home?
That's what it was. They just brought the discipline with them because they knew it was going to fuck.
Yeah.
They knew because there was investigations going on years and years before I got there, and that's what they started doing, employing ex-military, ex-forces.
How did they treat you?
Fair, but they could be bastards.
Yeah.
When he wanted to be. The staff were always drinking on the office overnight when you'd have like certain weekends, like for example you'd have Pete's weekend, you'd have Joe's weekend.
Right.
So they were a team. So when they do like split shifts, that team were always together.
Right.
And every weekend you go like the beach and that. The staff, you get your money, you grab one of the staff and go to use a favour, go in there, get your bottle of 2020. The staff were up for that all day, they buying all the kids alcohol. Then the staff, young girls that ended up going missing. Oh, she's sick, I've got to take her back to the van. By the way, I'm going to walk her up there because she's a bit drunk.
Right.
I knew what was going on.
Right.
They know they were fucking.
So there was girls in the home as well?
But he's gonna believe. He's gonna believe.
Yeah.
He's gonna believe me when the kid's home. I'm not. It's a jail. I'm locked up. I can't.
Yeah.
I weren't coming home. I went in the kids' home. Like I come home like every weekend and see me mum. I didn't really see her. She come up when she went drinking. She's always drank. She come up to like Bryn Allen, Clarence House.
Yeah.
But that was just horrible. She got the best time she had was when I went abroad. Went to Spain.
Once she was out of the system.
Yeah. Went to Spain.
In respect to like the Bryn Allen, I mean it got mentioned a lot in the press and everything else because of people visiting and stuff. Was that going on when you was
there
there?
was a lot of visitors who had absolutely nothing to do with the Bryn Allen. It wasn't just Bryn Allen. It was like 4 different kids' homes. There was 2 in North Wales. There was 1 in Salford. And there was another one in Shrewsbury somewhere.
Right.
So it was called the Bryn Allen community.
Right, okay.
So what they done was, they couldn't control one kid. Or that kid weren't doing what they were asking. That kid would then get fucked up to another kid's home.
Right, okay. Yeah, or if the kid was likely to speak out or something like that.
Exactly.
You know.
That kid wouldn't be around us. They'd have that kid. I'd done it on myself, being in isolation. Just take you down to isolation, you get locked in a fucking like prison. You get locked in a room. You're not getting out of there.
Yeah, you see, this place has been the centre of an investigation. Whatever come out of it, I don't know. I don't know if anyone ever got
I just want to know
convicted or.
Why was it never in the public interest?
It never is. Why is so much of what we do with this? It's got no media worth. No one's interested. It's only what we're putting out as an alternative media channel, and this massive community, and I mean a massive community we now built up, that we're managing to get the stories out there.
People need to open up.
Yeah.
Don't be scared, people. If anything's happened to you, come out and speak. There's a lot of people here who support you. John's a good man. His friend here to my left, Amanda, she's a good lady. Just get your story out. It needs to get out. Don't keep it in.
And when you're out and about, when you talk to other people, I bet you can recognise a victim as well, can't you? You know.
It's
especially if they come out of the care system.
It's horrible when they come to you. Oh, something's happened to someone. So if they come out in the 17, you see, why is he on heroin?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that's what it's going to be, because he's being abused.
Yeah.
I've been on and off heroin most of my life. I haven't trusted it for 5 years this year. I've been an alcoholic. But all that was to me was just to blank things out. But the alcohol turned me into a monster, John. I was just always fighting. I'd always want to fight. Every time I had alcohol, I'd want to fight.
Yeah.
I'd go and look for fights. Because I needed to get
angry,
that anger out of me.
Yeah, I know. It's again something I hear all the time. And I mean, I'm not a therapist, so I'm not a psychoanalyst, a psychologist, but I know what the root cause of a lot of the social ills and violence are. And it's as plain as the nose on your face. So why doesn't these clinicians know? And like you say, it's always not in the public interest.
But all they do is give you mental health tablets.
Yeah.
Metazapine. I've been on clopramazine, olanzapine, strong antipsychotics. Didn't need them, John.
Largactil was something they gave kids a lot. Largactil.
I was in the children's home in the Lake District, and every single morning they give us a red tablet.
Right.
Where are the vitamins? Don't know. And every single night before we got breakfast, before we got supper, we were given a white tablet overnight.
Right.
And when I sit back and think about it now.
Yeah. What was it?
Having vitamins at night.
Yeah.
Give vitamins out at night.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. It was a knockout drop, wasn't it?
When you're a kid, if someone says to you, "I've seen a flying elephant outside," you go, "Oh, where?" And runs down the street looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of the other things that some of the kids, especially when you get the ritualistic stuff, they were given hallucinogenics, So when they do come to give their testimonies, their memory is marred with crazy stuff going through that they remember, like butterflies flying across and all that, because they needed them awake, but also they didn't need them so they were aware of what was going on. Spaced out, yeah, exactly. I mean, that took some doing to actually knock heroin. I mean, there's some people that never get off that stuff.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I didn't get like go to rehab or nothing.
Yeah.
I just woke up one day and I looked in the mirror and started crying my eyes out and thought, that's not me.
Yeah.
That is not me.
Yeah.
And maybe taking drugs is a way of self-harm. But it wasn't self-harm to me. It was a hope to me. That's all I ever wanted.
Yeah. Well, it's a comfort blanket, isn't it? I mean, alcohol's the same. It's sort of like, I mean, I went through a phase of drinking quite a lot, and
alcohol's bad. Between alcohol and drugs, alcohol's worse than drugs.
Oh yeah. Well, it causes a lot of problems, a hell of a lot of problems. You know, but again, it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? Because there's a problem. You know, and but I mean, a lot of it stemmed from the fact that at home things weren't good, wasn't it? So
things were never good at home. I was never happy at home. My brothers, my sisters, they were never happy at home. We were always put in different kids' homes. My sisters were getting bullied in the kids' homes off poor, so I went up, jumped through the window, went in and just knocked the kids out. And got a
So they never kept you together?
No, we were all split up.
Split up.
I was banned from seeing my sisters because I knocked this kid out because he was bullying my sisters, taking the pocket money off them. That's from Big Brother, what am I meant to do? The staff wouldn't do nothing. My sisters were the same, they used to get stuck on lanterns in the 90s, but the way they lived in Shotport, it was like the old slated floors.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
That's where they lived.
Yeah, like a Victorian building. You know, but you said something to me earlier on, the fact that you made a conscious decision not to have children.
Because I've been in care and because I've been nicked for violence, I just knew that kid would get taken off me, and there's not a chance in this earth I could put a kid through what I've been through myself. And it's okay for people to go, oh, it's changed. It fucking hasn't changed.
No. I think if anything, it's got worse because things aren't monitored now. You know, they haven't got. The police has been cut down to next to nothing. There's cuts in social services. There's cuts everywhere.
No disrespect to you, John, and the job you used to do, but I think that the police had a fucking waste of time.
Well, they didn't do me any favours, mate. I tell you. You know, I've become the target of their anger as well. So, yeah, they do. It's like you were saying about the cannabis. Someone said to me, "Believe this, they pick low-hanging fruit. That's all they do, and they never get to the root of problems." You know, if it was down to me, the child abuse would be the priority. Would be priority.
It should be priority of everything.
Yeah. And it's just. It has just got no focus for them whatsoever. They just are not interested, you know.
I'm 40, John, but I died when I was 12, mate. When that happened to me, that's when I passed away.
Right.
I died when they raped me, mate.
Something inside of you just died.
I'd never had a childhood.
No.
Always being told what to do. I didn't have toys. Didn't have Lego.
What about Christmases?
Christmas.
Yeah.
Every Christmas I cry my eyes out.
Yeah.
Christmas, I don't get never had presents off my mum. Christmas just another normal day to me, but I just can't stand it. Seeing all families and all that. It's like, you know, people have probably seen it in films themselves. Like a Christmas film, that little kid will walk past the house and he sees the family in the house.
Yeah, looking through the window, yeah.
That little kid's me.
Yeah. No, I know. I know. We interviewed a girl called Jenny, and she was in the care system, but with foster carers, and they kept her in a shed. But they had grandchildren, this couple, and they would get the 6 children that they kept in a shed. They would line them up, get their grandchildren to open all their presents, and these kids got nothing, and then they would get their grandchildren to start punching them. And they said if we fought back, we were whipped, so that we had to be beaten by their own kids. It's just sick.
In Brunel, we got beat up, and it weren't like a little slap, do you know what I mean? It was like flashes of red, and black and flashes of white, proper fucking giving it to us, you know
Really
what I
sparking
mean?
you out, yeah. Who was that, by the staff?
That was by the staff, yeah.
And these were ex-army guys, so these would have been physically
all
fit
ex-army.
lads. So lads that could
Harris,
fight.
the Royal Welsh Fusiliers,
Yeah.
the old Kings, the old Liverpool, and Manchester Kings Regiment.
The problem is with these environments is that it's an environment of violence, and then violence will just breed more violence, and in the end you get to enjoy that violence. And you look forward to it, and they would have been boasting about what they did. Oh, got to give that little runt a good right hand or whatnot, you know.
Yeah, of course he would have.
You know.
Just people with issues.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, without a doubt. And it's power then, because you've got dominion over young kids, and you become a bully. And once you've got power, that in itself is highly addictive.
I wish you had my phone on me just to show the people. In my phone I've got about 10 contacts, the hospital, the doctors, the library.
Yeah.
I've got no mates. I can't.
And you're homeless at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm actually.
Billy's living in his car at the moment.
I was in a flat and it was a shithole, and I had pneumonia on my lungs in February, both lungs, and they weren't the virus. I just got off the asbestos, the damp and that, and Sefton Council said to me, if you don't sign that tenancy, you're making yourself homeless, so we've got no right to help you. They're not going to do that, it's the virus. Then we ain't coming round, we ain't spending no inspectors.
And if you think of how much tax we pay money to know that firstly our children are protected, that our streets are kept safe, that crime is investigated, that the needy are looked after, those in positions of vulnerability are kept safe, and yet where does all that money go? All that money we spend, what happens to it?
Exactly.
You know, where is it? Because we clearly see child abuse just getting ignored, and it does get ignored. When it gets investigated, it's always cut short. You know, there's D notices served. I mean, why would they serve a D notice on your file? Put a D on your file. Why would they do that? You're the victim of abuse in a kid's home.
It's because the names were in that file, as we can't mention their names because you get through off YouTube.
Yeah.
But there's some very, very, very high-profile people involved.
Yeah, abusers.
Who were there painting saints, abusers.
Yeah.
Local MPs.
And again, this is what we hear time and time and time again. And
Police officers.
Yeah, that's another one that always crops up. Police officers.
We just need a words with this girl. We need a words with this boy. The staff aren't just taking in the shop. The shop's 10 minutes up the road. Why have you been an hour?
Yeah.
Why has he come back like he's shook?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a girl we're going to interview in Cornwall, I think, in a couple of weeks, and it was police officers were picking her up from school and taking her to a cottage and just raping her. You know. And again,
I've been in houses, John, when I was on the gear and that, and there's been police officers there smoking crack.
Yeah.
I've sat with police officers smoking crack. I've sold drugs to police officers. I'm not a drug dealer. Years ago, weed. Used to have an officer in town. Used to just take the money off us and go fuck off.
Yeah, we hear that from Nicky, who's the former street worker.
Oh, people are going to sit there and think, oh, we sold drugs, he's an ex-drug dealer. It weren't like that. I never had nothing in life, nothing. No one brought me nothing. I had to go out, I was either robbing it, or I had to earn some money somehow. No one was going to give me a job, because of what happened to me. My head was too fucked up for it.
And you did a couple of quite lengthy sentences, didn't you?
Yeah.
And what were they for?
I've been away for the production of cannabis. I've been away for violence, and I've also been away for threats to kill.
Again, you say as much or as little as you want. It's, you know, it's your shout, Billy.
Back in, I think it was about 92, Liverpool were playing Crystal Palace. I think it was at Villa Park. It was the FA Cup semi-final, and Liverpool scored in the last minute. My mum's boyfriend at the time, he jumped up and said, yes son, we're going to Wembley. My mum being an alcoholic and him being an alcoholic, they've started arguing because I'm not his son.
Right.
And I've run upstairs, got into my mum's bed. I've been scared because they were shouting. And my mum's boyfriend got off to his flat. And my mum's come upstairs and got into her bed with me. I've been lying there, I've been crying because I was scared. And he started kissing me on the neck. He started touching me where he shouldn't have been touching me. And she put all love bites around my neck. And she kept me off in the kids' home for as long as she could, but she couldn't cope with me. So when I got sent back, I had to go back and say my mates held me down, and my mates done it. I got years later, I went out with my mum, we were drinking. She got up, started telling everyone what happened to me. My son's being raped, my son's being abused. And I just wanted to open my mouth and just tell people exactly what my mum done to me.
She started saying this in the pub, didn't she?
Yeah, she got up here, started telling people. People are going, do you know who I know? She's going, mate, I'm not interested, no people myself, see you later. And she got up to karaoke and she said, this is my son that got raped in a certain children's home, Clarence House. And I felt that big.
So she's got on the microphone and openly declared on the microphone in a packed pub that you had been raped in a kid's home. She was boasting.
So I went home.
Unbelievable.
I went home. I'm sitting there. Next minute, a couple of hours later, the door goes. It's me mum with her friends, pissed out of her face. She's come in, sat on the couch, started giving me shit, which she always did. And that very day she gave me shit. I had enough, I'd never answered the back, I'd never said nothing to her. I flipped my lid, I threw a bottle of tapes at her, and I went, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Next minute, the police have come. She said, you tried to set her on fire. No, I didn't, because I know tape is not fucking flammable, I'm not stupid. It's an irritant.
Yeah.
They've tasered me, they've CS gassed me, they've crashed the car on the way to the police station, and this was because my mum said to me what was like to have a big cock up your ass as a kid. And I'd had enough of it. I spoke to no one about what happened to me. And it's fucked up. I'm from a fucked up family.
Well, it's wicked.
It's horrible. I don't know my grandparents, I don't know my aunties and my uncles. I've got my siblings. I love my little brother to bits. Shout out David.
Yeah, big respect, David. Will David be listening?
No, David's in work.
All right, okay.
He's a tyre fitter.
All right.
I told him I was meeting you today. He
Good.
messaged me earlier and said, take care. And
Oh, well, God bless you, David. God bless you. But I mean,
he's like my mum's been an alcoholic all her life. He's been without him, my mum would be dead.
right.
As you said, you spoke to my mum yesterday, John. She sounded like she was on the way to being drunk.
Yeah, I could hear. Well, what happened was, I rang up a number. I thought it was Billy's number, and his mum answered, and I thought it was the noise of the machine, the defib machine in the hospital, because it was beep, beep, beep. Well, it weren't. I said, is Billy all right? Is Billy all right? Because I thought he was in hospital. But it weren't. She was obviously putting bottles or cans through the checkout of a supermarket. And then Billy informs me that she's in hospital this morning because she got smashed out of her head. And
she got smashed out of her head, same as she did 2 weeks ago. She's got a fractured skull and she's also got blood clots. But this is the 17th time this year, and I don't want people to feel sorry for her.
No.
She knows what she's doing.
Yeah, and she knows what she did to you.
She knows what she's done to me. She knows she's an alcoholic. And I've got no love for her, John. I've got no love for my mum.
Well,
she knows that. I've said to her, no, you die, mum. I can't be there. I can't. I can't go to her funeral. My brothers, my sisters know what she's done to me. She's admitted that when she's been pissed out of her head to 4 different people in Beetle. I live around here, and when my mum's always drunk and she's always falling over, she shits herself, she pisses herself.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It's me and my brother who got the shit for it.
Yeah.
Sorry for the pun, like.
The pun, yeah. You know. But it's the destruction it leaves behind, especially in your life, you know, and the positions that you've been in.
She's still hating me now.
Yeah.
Getting pissed and making a show out of me. She's never said sorry. She won't tell me nothing about me dad. Not that I want to know. He's had plenty of opportunities to get in touch.
What would you say to people that are in relationships and there is a child and the relationship isn't working? I mean, I was a single parent for many years of 4 kids, and I say to people, don't become a single parent. Do everything you can to keep the family together.
Well, to be honest with you, John, I can't really comment on that because I've got no kids myself.
But having been a child that ended up being abandoned, and what happens when the families break down, the kids are vulnerable, aren't they?
Yeah, of course they are. All kids are vulnerable. They're going to bleed, they're going to miss their mum, they're going to miss their dad.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone's going through a tough time at the moment, the best thing you can do is speak to someone, try and get a bit of help.
Try and get help, yeah. Sort it out.
The last thing you want is your child going into care.
Yeah.
Because it's not going, oh well, that kid was alright and that kid was alright. It might be your kid that it happens to.
Yeah, and that's right.
It's whether that kid's in care for 10 years, whether that kid's in care for 3 weeks, that kid's always going to remember that it was in care, and it had other grown adults telling the kid what to do. How would you like, if you got kids, how would you like the adults to smack your kid and you don't know nothing about it?
Yeah.
Comes back with bruises, what happened? Oh, I fell over.
Yeah. And not only that, no one's ever going to love your child as much as you love your child.
I'd love kids, John, I really would love. I can't do it, mate.
But this is what we're seeing. We're seeing the after effects. You know, it's they say about dropping a pebble in a pond and the ripples. This isn't dropping a pebble in a pond. This is dropping a dirty, whacking, great, smelly lump of concrete, splashed right in the middle, and the destruction, and it resonates forever, really.
There's no justice for people like me.
No.
None at all. I've never been given answers. I've never been given, there's my hand, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's a hug, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's down to us that this happened. No bastard out there wants to hold their hands up and go, I'm gonna shake. I was the boss. If I was the boss of them staff that what happened to me, that's my fault. Not the staff's fault. I'm their boss. I'm not watching my staff. The staff weren't watching us.
Yeah, they weren't watching you. I think they're deliberately not watching you. Like I said, if you was to walk about part of the school to steal something, they'd be on you. So how can there be an organised raping party and no one intervene?
The staff couldn't say nothing because the people that were going there, people in high places. I can't mention no names, but these.
Well, we may well have people that went to Clarence House coming forward. You know, and so if you do, please get in touch. If you want to talk, get in touch, and let's see if we can get your testimonies out there. You know, and what we need to do, the police clearly are going to do nothing about this. MPs are clearly going to do nothing. We need to do it ourselves and get these testimonies out there and shame this government. And we need to keep getting them out there. People, please keep coming forward. Be brave. What would you say to someone who is sitting in there hurting and suffering and has got all this anger and all this pain inside to them, Bill? Would you implore them to speak out?
That's the best thing you can do.
Or to suffer in silence?
Don't suffer in silence. Get out there and speak to someone.
I mean,
go for a walk. Phone a friend. Just don't keep it all locked in, because that's what I done. That's where I made my mistakes, by going to jail. And jail's not a nice place. You get angry and you need to take your anger out on someone. Go to the gym.
Yeah.
Be active. Don't be sitting in every day going, my head's fucking kettled here.
Yeah.
Going, I can't. Just go out. Go. Even if you walk around the block, come back. You take your mind off something. Because when you're sitting at home, John, you're sitting on the couch. You don't have to worry about no traffic. Don't have to worry about people walking up to you. when you're in the street, you can't think because your mind's on the road.
Yeah.
Your mind's on where you're going. You're sitting at home, you're sitting there like
And
that.
it's the same as when you're working. It gives you something to do, you know. And same as training. Training is fantastic. Exercises. Unfortunately, they're shutting all our gyms at the moment because of all this nonsense.
They're back open in a week.
Yeah, you know. And you've got yourself back into training.
Yeah, but I got back into my training.
Let's talk about that. So, what you're doing to sort yourself, because you're in good shape, Bill. You know, you look after yourself.
Do a bit of boxing training, bit of MMA training, and I go to the gym. Was trying to keep myself active, which I'll be starting again next week. And
it's good for your soul.
If anyone's struggling out there, please, if you can't seek help, speak to John, send him a message. He's a good guy.
Well, we're
very understanding. The good people. And I'm 100% by the way, 100% behind the work that John does, even though he's an ex-copper.
Yeah, that's one thing I'll carry with me to my grave, you know. Oh, I'll never get rid of that one. But listen, you know, please get in touch. If you need to get in touch with Bill, drop me a line. Bill's in a lot of trouble at the moment, so if anyone wants to stretch their hand out and help him out in usually the obvious way, because Bill's in a lot of financial difficulties and is currently homeless, please just let us know, all right, and we can sort something out, and you know, come forward, speak out, email me. My email's on the address. It's easy enough to find, and then see, we're going to be in Liverpool for the rest of today and maybe tomorrow. We've got another chap to see later. We've got a little group coming down to meet us. We've got Alan Merritt's gang coming down, and you know, the community is just growing by the day, absolutely growing by the day. But you know, I want to say thank you so much, Bill.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
God bless you, man.
Thank you.
God bless you. And please get in touch, and if you need to make a donation or help Bill out in any way, you know, again, this isn't a scrounge, this is just people do good things, and some people are in need of help, and that's, you know, that's when sometimes they need to sort of ask for it. And Bill's not asked for anything, I'm doing this for him. All right, but thank you and God bless.